Panorama has 1 to 6 players making panoramas of beautiful landscapes. It is designed by Alex Winter and illustrated by Dan May. Players play a card from their hand face down in front of them. Reveal, then, in turn order, place that card between you and the player to your left or right to begin your panoramas. Pass your hand to the left, then repeat the process. In a 3-player game, players 1 and 2 work together, players 2 and 3, and players 3 and 1. Play cards to the left or right of a panorama. See how the background connects to make a continuous horizon? If you cannot legally play a card to either panorama, flip the card face down. Any card can connect to these park signs. Each phase, Dusk and Dawn, use its own deck. The number of starting cards depends on player count. Once all Dusk cards have been played, begin new panoramas using the Dawn deck. At the end of this phase, score all panoramas. 4 award tiles are used each game. Before scoring, award the shown points to Dusk and Dawn panoramas that fulfilled the goal. In case of ties, each tied panorama earns the points. Going left to right, you'll score each panorama. Dusk and Dawn decks share many icons, but a few are unique. Orange icons are animals, bears, foxes, and moose, and green icons are features. Some cards award points based on specific cards. For example, animals to the left and right of Campfire score 1 point apiece. Aurora cards score points if next to other Aurora cards. Moose don't like sharing territory, so score points for non-animal cards framing your moose card. As you can imagine, you can only have a single moon or sun in each panorama. The winner is the player with the most points. Draft cards, pass them, play them to expand your landscapes, and score points for having the best panoramas. That's Panorama. Our games of Panorama average 40 minutes. Because the decks are separate, setup and takedown is quick. Honestly, scoring takes the longest, but it isn't too bad if players score their own panoramas. With 3 players, you have more control over your chances of winning and or losing because you share a panorama with both opponents. With 4 or more players, you won't interact with everyone. This game needs way more table space than you might expect based on the box size and components. You'll need at least 3 feet by 3 feet with 3 players. Panoramas can get long. With a 7-year-old, play half the game, the Dusk cards, and some of the simpler awards. Depending on their experience level and how quickly things click, you can expand from there. In our 5th game of Panorama, the awards contradicted each other, so we had to be creative and ready to adapt. Me and Mom's panorama was filled with animals, and me and Dad had the shortest panorama. I actually achieved all 4 awards, 2 with Mom and 2 with Dad. I ended up beating Mom by just 3 points, and we both crushed Dad. Panorama's art is gorgeous. It's like a combination of Cabo's 2nd edition and Beth Sobel's paintings. It's nice to see your panoramas grow on the table. I have a nitpick though. The sun blends into the background quite easily. Depending on lighting, your vision, and so on, you may end up doubling up suns to the panorama until you really know the icons. Thankfully, those icons soon become second nature. Finally, I think the rulebook is good for both learning and referencing. The box is surprisingly big, seeing as the game is just tokens and 2 decks. It's fine for backpacks, but likely too big to fit in most purses. As common as the theme is, some of the decisions can really trip you up. Once your starting hand has gone around the table and made its way back to you, you at least have an idea as to what is and isn't possible. The choice of which panorama to contribute each time is probably the most difficult decision in the game. Which neighbor do I help in order to maximize points, all the while not giving them more than me? There are only 2 phases, so these decisions play a big role. On second thought, perhaps even tougher is deciding to abandon an award. It can be tempting to focus a bit too much on those tiles, and therefore not optimize your panorama as much as you could have. We've had some panoramas that were worth only single-digit points because we went too hard on 1 or more awards, only to miss out near the end because the remaining cards spoiled things. Luck of the draw can benefit some players and hurt others. Thankfully, it's unlikely a player will sabotage a panorama because why would they cause themselves to lose? Even so, sometimes things goes disastrously bad in phase. If things don't turn around come dawn, you might be crushed like Dad in that one game. It happens. All 3 of us still enjoy this, but it's something to keep in mind depending on your group. While it seems like your choices may be limited due to needing to match the horizon, you at least have 4 possible spots to place your card. Turn order is very important because what the previous player does can completely change your plans. On the positive side, if you cannot play a card, that park sign on the reverse can connect to anything, meaning you'll have a legal play next time. Even better, some cards reward you for park signs, so things may end up working out for you in the end. Panorama adds a pick-and-pass drafting mechanism to a clever tableau builder, gives it approachable rules and theme, then wraps up in a gorgeous package. All of this in under 45 minutes. The way you work with your neighbors reminds me a lot of Flourish, a card game I reviewed in June 2021. That game can be played as either a co-op or competitive game, has a few included variants, and is a real brain burner. Despite being deeper, it's surprisingly shorter. If you and your game group or family want something relaxing that you can enjoy together but pull it out to introduce less experienced gamers, I think Panorama is a great choice. If you already have Flourish and prefer games with similar complexity, maybe give this a try first.